Thank you all for attending tonight's meeting. We are Golden Speakers Toastmasters of Fairfield, Iowa. Today is October 13th, and we are at our usual Tuesday night meeting at 7:45. Our club mission is to provide a supportive and positive learning experience in which members are empowered to develop communication and leadership skills, resulting in greater self-confidence and personal growth. Let's hear it for our mission. It appears we have a guest. Is our guest able to speak for us? I'm not sure. Todd, are you on? Able to talk?
Later.
Okay. He did say in the chat, hello.
Okay. Hi, Todd. Okay.
Hello, Todd. Thank you. Thank you for attending tonight's meeting. We appreciate you being here. Hopefully we'll get to talk later on.
He also wrote to me saying that this is his first time on Zoom.
Oh.
So he may not know how to take himself off mute. Todd?
He doesn't look like he's on mute. He's not on mute, Art.
I don't see his name showing right now. I see only a total of non-video people as one.
He's there. He's not muted.
He says, hello, I miss the Golden Speakers.
Yes, yes. Okay, well, let's keep rolling because we need to go.
Yes, thank you, Jean.
Mm-hmm.
At this time, I'd like to pass it off to a Toastmaster to kick off tonight's meeting. And that Toastmaster is me. So,
hey.
Thank you. I'd like to start out by having each of our role players talk about what they'll be doing at tonight's meeting, starting with our timer, who is myself again. Thank you. As your timer tonight, I will be timing both our prepared speech and our speech evaluation and our table topic speeches and table topics evaluator for tonight's meeting. Our prepared speech will be a 5 to 7 minute speech. And so
Longer.
Oh, okay. Sorry. How long do you get?
8, 9, 10.
Oh, okay. The agenda still says, okay. 8,
No,
9,
I sent a revised agenda at the end, towards the end of the afternoon.
Oh, okay. So I will give the green background at 8 minutes, the yellow background at 9 minutes, and the red background at 10 minutes, at which point the speaker will have another 30 seconds to finish off before they're disqualified. Then we also have a speech evaluation afterwards, which will be 2 to 3 minutes. And so I will give the speaker the green at 2 minutes, yellow at 2.5, and the red at 3 minutes, and 30 seconds to finish up. Finally, our table topic speeches are 1 to 2 minutes. And so I will give a green background at 1, yellow at 1.5, and red at 2, at which point we'll have another 30 seconds to finish up. And then we will decide on our table topics evaluation time based on how many table topic speeches we have. And then I'll give a report at the end of the meeting. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster. Just myself. Now I'd like to move on to our grammarian, give their rundown of their role, and our grammarian for tonight is Jean Symington Craig. Take it away, Jean.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. I am going to mention 2 things for my role. One is the word of the night. And I didn't put it in a sentence, which I just realized, but the word of the night is anathema, and that's how you pronounce it, anathema. It is a noun, and it means
anathema. Anathema.
Right. It means something or someone that one vehemently dislikes. So we can use that in our speeches tonight. I'm going to just say maybe it was, many people have said that racial hatred is anathema to them. Okay, so that would be an example. I'll also be looking for creative usages of the English language and possible usage that may need a little bit of improvement, in my opinion, and I'll give a report at the end of the meeting. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Madam Grammarian. Next, we'll hear from our odd counter, Jyoti Raj.
Thank you. Fellow Toastmaster guests and viewers at home. My main duty is to note words and sounds such as crutch or pause filled by anyone who speaks during the meeting. The examples would be, and other filler words like and, but, so, well, you know, or there are sounds like e, u, whatever this is, those are filler words. I'll make a note of all those things, and I will give you the report at the end of the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Odd-Counter. Next, later on, we will also hear from our general evaluator and our joke master, who are both Art Atkinson. We look forward to that from Art later on. Next, we will be moving on to our prepared speech section of tonight's meeting. To start us off, I'd like to call on the evaluator, Jyoti Raj, to read the objectives for tonight's speech. Take it away, Jyoti.
Thank you. The objective of the speech, or the purpose of the speech, is for the speaker or the member to learn or review basic research methods and present a well-organized, well-researched speech on any topic he or she likes. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Evaluator. Now I will read our speaker's introduction. Jean Symington Craig is a distinguished Toastmaster. She's been with Golden Speakers Toastmasters since 2006. She is the current Vice President of Education and has served in a number of club officer positions, including President. She's also the current Area 82 Director in District 19, where she's enjoying being able to meet new clubs and people, new clubs and people remotely during these Zoomy days. Jean is married to Dan Craig, who is her first husband, and the two of them are the doting dog parents of Porter and Aubrey, the best dogs in the world. Jean is presenting from Presentation Master, her
Mastery.
level 1, Mastery, Presentation Mastery, her level 1 project 4, entitled Researching and Presenting. She has the awe and gratitude that many Americans feel for the late Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Jean wanted to research from some RBG early cases where she was an attorney arguing in front of the Supreme Court during a time when gender discrimination wasn't even recognized as a civil rights violation of approximately 1/2 of American citizens. Jean wants you to know that standard nomenclature for naming cases is defendant v. for versus plaintiff, as she will mention those during her talk. Please join me in welcoming Jean Symington Craig.
Thank you. Unbelievable, I exclaimed, looking at the list. How can this be? It was 1971. One of my first term papers as a Duke freshman consisted of basically a long list of laws that incorporated gender discrimination. I was horrified. The more I researched, the more I learned about ways that my rights as a woman were curtailed just because of my gender. Married women were even more hamstrung. The thinking was that if there were barriers for women, then it was just for their protection and benefit. Little did I know at the time, but the late Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, known affectionately as RBG, was just getting started, proceeding to radically change the legal landscape for gender equality. Here are just a few examples of laws that were on the books in the early 70s, by no means exclusive. I'll quickly mention the court cases and the legislation that overturned each restriction. First, single, widowed, or divorced women had to bring a male co-signer for any credit application, regardless of their income, said income also being discounted up to 50% in determining credit limits. I found this in Women and Money, quote, a Guardian US series production, August 11th, 2014, and this was reversed by the Equal Credit Opportunity Act, 1974. Another, unmarried people often couldn't legally purchase contraceptives. Eisenstadt v. Byrd, 1972, Supreme Court decision overruled that. Third, husbands of working women were not entitled to the same Social Security survivor benefits as those of wives of working women. This was an example of gender discrimination against males, determined in Weinberger v. Weisenfeld, 1975 Supreme Court. This was a successful RBG case. Another, as opposed to women, widowers, and divorced men, never married men with caretaker responsibilities could not deduct their expenses for tax purposes. Again, discrimination against males. Moritz v. Commissioner, 1972 Supreme Court, another successful RBG case. Another example, numerous states made jury duty optional for women, but mandatory for men, affecting the Sixth Amendment requirement of a trial with a jury composition from a fair cross-section of the community. Duren v. Missouri, 1979, another successful RBG case. While the seeming good intention was to protect women based on stereotypical concepts of womanhood, the effect was to make them dependent on men and unable to pursue opportunities available to men. Although less frequently, the traditional stereotypes of the bread-earning men and the stay-at-home women also generated laws that disadvantaged men. In order to understand how and where RBG began her incremental, strategic, and successful challenges to these laws in the early 70s, we'll start with the Equal Protection Clause, Section 1 of the 14th Amendment of the US Constitution. That clause states, quote, "No state shall make or enforce any law that would deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without the due process of law, nor deny to any person within its jurisdiction the equal protection of the laws." This was passed in 1868. However, the Equal Protection Clause was only applied for race, color, or nationality, but not gender. In the 1879 Strouder v. West Virginia regarding a Black man's conviction by an all-white male jury, the Supreme Court found for the Black male defendant and said that states could not exclude people of a particular race or color from serving. Yet, backing off from generalizations, the Supreme Court said in its opinion that a state may, quote, prescribe the qualifications of its jurors, and in doing so, make discrimination. It may confine the selection to males, to freeholders, to citizens, to persons within certain ages, or to persons having educational qualifications. We do not believe the 14th Amendment was ever intended to prohibit this. Its aim was against discrimination because of race or color, end quote. Dr. Linda Kerber says in her 1999 book titled "No Constitutional Rights to Be Ladies, Women and the Obligations of Citizenship," quote, "Of the groups whose exclusion was permitted by this list, women were the only ones who could not change their condition, i.e. people can get older, change educational and economic conditions, but sex, like race, resists change, end quote. According to the Supreme Court Historical Society, this myopia with regard to the Equal Protection Clause as it applies to women and gender as a class continued until 1971, or more than 100 years after its passage, when RBG began challenging that interpretation. She didn't look for a sweeping ruling that overturned gender discrimination across the board, but rather moved incrementally, building upon each case. She did so by carefully selecting and successfully finding Equal Protection Clause challenges to specific statutes, beginning in the early 70s. What happened in 1971? RBG advocated for the female plaintiff in the first landmark gender discrimination case, Reed v. Reed. According to the National Women's Law Center's November 16, 2011 article on the case, Sally Reed and Cecil Reed were a divorced couple living in Idaho whose teenage son Richard committed suicide. Sally and Cecil both filed applications to administer Richard's estate, which is very small. According to the online legal encyclopedia law.jrank.org, Idaho's mandatory probate code stated that, quote, males must be preferred to females, end quote, when administrator applications of equal merit and entitlement were in competition. The Idaho Supreme Court upheld that statute, giving preference to men over women. After 16 attorneys refused to take Sally Reed's case, saying she couldn't win, attorneys Alan Dare and RBG took it to the US Supreme Court. As Jeffrey Toobin, legal writer, describes in his March 11, 2013 article in the New Yorker titled Heavyweight, How Ruth Bader Ginsburg Has Moved the Supreme Court, quote, in an opinion for a unanimous court in Reed v. Reed, Chief Justice Berger overturned the Idaho law as, quote, the very kind of arbitrary legislative choice forbidden by the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment, end quote. Reed v. Reed was her first Supreme Court victory. In total, RBG successfully litigated 5 out of 6 cases brought to the Supreme Court, including the 3 mentioned at the beginning of my talk. In conclusion, Ruth Bader Ginsburg strategically selected individual localized cases using both male and female plaintiffs that successfully created precedents on Equal Protection Clause principles. These precedents could then be applied in ever-widening legal and legislative areas to challenge and change the more than 300 gender discrimination statutes in the country in the early 70s and beyond. Even before she advanced to the Supreme Court, her legacy as a champion of gender equality was secured. Again, from the Toobin 2013 New Yorker article. Susan Deller Ross, a professor at Georgetown University Law Center, who also worked as a lawyer on sex discrimination cases during this period, said of Ginsburg, quote, she helped turn the court 180 degrees from a very hands-off attitude, which had often been expressed very cavalierly, to one where they struck down law after law that treated the sexes differently, end quote. In September of this year, as a result of her towering legal stature, Ruth Bader Ginsburg became the first woman to lie in state at the Capitol building in DC. How utterly appropriate for the notorious RBG.
We will now have 2 minutes to evaluate our speaker. That is 2 minutes. At this point, we'd like to move on Is our speech evaluator ready at this time? Jyoti?
Yeah, I'm ready. I can give her that evaluation later.
Later?
The sheet of, no, I can do this now.
Oh,
but I can
okay.
give this to her later. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just if you have enough time, Jyoti,
Mhm.
if you've had enough time. Okay.
All right. At this time, I'd like to call on our general evaluator, Art Atkinson, to introduce tonight's speech evaluator.
Art, your microphone is
Okay,
on.
I was dictating my notes to Sue, to Jean.
Mhm.
Let me pull up the agenda, take a quick look.
You just have to introduce Jyoti as the evaluator.
Yes. Now to evaluate Jean's presentation, we have Jyoti Raj Adhikari. Jyoti, please tell us.
Thank you, Art. Fellow Toastmasters guests and viewers at home, and especially Jean. The speech was fabulous. Congratulations. There's a good start. I heard like you were saying unbelievable, and you started your speech so well. And there were so many court cases and so many examples you put on. So I can say it was very well rehearsed and researched and rehearsed. I have some points, as you are a very good and very experienced speaker, so I want to highlight some of the things that may be beneficial to you rather than saying you did this and this and that. So I'll go by one. The first thing is your vocal variety. I want to focus on that because I didn't see much of the vocal variety this time. So the speech was like a continuous process. I felt a little flat than any other speech. So you are just on a straight line. Only few varieties were there. So the pitch was the same pitch. So I would like to focus on that, and I want you to recommend to, I mean, suggest you to do more vocal varieties. The second thing is I want you to prepare well before the speech. Maybe you have not much time this time, or you're in a hurry, but I found you looking at the screen or the note, or that just I felt like you're off the screen, your eyes were off the screen a lot of the time, so it was hard to connect the audience. But it's not like all the time, but some of the time, and I think it is, you were not like that before, so I want to tell that. And you are very close to cameras before the speech, if you check your cameras, because we can see only this portion, so we couldn't see much of your hands and gestures. So maybe that's the reason I couldn't see much of the thing. So you are fully till your neck on the screen. So that is one of the things I like to say. Your speech was very clear, and it was divided, the court cases and the body part where you have all those discrimination examples, cases, and all those things. And in conclusion, you have the conclusion, very solid conclusion, what she did and what happened recently. So that was a very strong conclusion, I would say. Other than that, everything was good. Only the thing, as I said, the vocal was a little flat, and I thought you were looking at the screen or the note a lot of time. That is okay, because it was research and you would have to look at the court cases. But as soon as you finish, just look up and smile or whatever, so that connect with the audience, because one of the things you have to connect with the audience is one of the point how well you connect to the audience. So other than that, speech was very good, and I enjoyed that and learned a lot. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Thank you, Jyoti. Moving on, we'd like
Next,
to.
I'd like to introduce Mr. Bob Fogel as the Table Topics Master.
Okay.
Hey, Clark.
Oh, we have Rahul joining us. Rahul, are you able to turn on your video and audio?
Yes, yes. I was just trying to see if I can do a background so that it's not as distracting as what I have right now. Hey, Art. Hey, Aaron, Jyoti, Jean,
Hey.
Bob, Todd. Good to see you
Hi.
guys in such a long time.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Well,
Thank you.
For those of us who have never met you before, do you mind taking some time to maybe just talk about yourself and why you decided to join us tonight?
Sure. So, for those of you who don't know me, Art, Jyoti, and Jean definitely know me. I used to live in Fairfield from 2007 to 2013, and I was a student at MIU now, and I did my bachelor's in computer science and engineering. I did my master's in computer science from there, and I joined Toastmasters. Got into Toastmasters through Golden Speakers, which was my first Toastmaster club, and from there that journey began, which got through with me attaining my DTM status in 2016. After that, I took a break because I've been moving a lot, and I had my daughter who was born in 2019. So to keep things short, Rahul Wurtz, I used to be in Fairfield and was a member of Golden Speaker, and Golden Speaker is what triggered me and pushed me on path of Toastmasters. Took a break, back again because I think it's a good time due to COVID that we can connect on Zoom or online meetings like this, and would love to connect with my roots at Golden Speakers.
Excellent. Thank you very much for joining us, Rahul. Yes, Jean.
Rahul, didn't I see you became a DTM?
Yes, in 2016.
Yeah. So, I mean, very experienced, very depth of knowledge there. So I just want to, that's a milestone. Yeah.
Well,
Thank you, Jean.
we also have a DTM on non-video.
That's right. Todd is a DTM. And
Yes, ma'am.
oh, there. Okay, there you are. Okay.
We have three DTMs out of 7 people on the call. That's pretty
Yeah.
amazing.
Hello,
Yeah.
Todd.
Here.
Would you also be able to talk briefly?
I joined Toastmasters years ago. I went to every meeting but one in 7 years.
Wow.
I go 1 hour and 10 minutes for brunch every week. I loved it at the first meeting.
Excellent. Well, we're glad to have both of you guys here on the call with us. We appreciate you guys joining us.
Now I will hand the lectern back to Mr. Bob Fogel to run a table topic session. Bob, take it away.
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator. Again, my name is Bob, and I'm running the table topics this evening. I will be asking cutting-edge questions to put your mind to get the juices going. And when I'm complete, I'm also going to be doing the evaluation on the questions that I ask. So I get the sword on both sides.
You are? Did I do that?
That's what Jean signed me.
Oh my gosh. Did I do that? I'm so sorry. Oh my gosh, I did. Oh.
Well, unless you want to take that away from me, Jean.
Hey, well, you know what?
What's that?
Rahul, do you feel
Yes,
like
Jean.
do you feel like doing anything tonight?
Sure.
I mean, this is like total hot potato.
I'm totally fine with it.
We had okay. So you remember how we just evaluate table topics?
I do remember that.
Okay.
I actually introduced that practice to several of my clubs, which I was a part of after, leaving Golden Speaker. And I gave that credit to being a member of Golden Speaker always, that, hey, we should have a table topics evaluator.
Yeah. Yeah, we evaluate everything that moves.
Yep.
Okay, so take the hat over, and Bob, you can just be a nice, relaxed table topics master. You can, and then the topic is, what is it? Handling the unexpected?
Handling the unexpected.
Yeah,
We're
okay.
getting out of space tonight.
Yeah.
Are you ready? Who's first up? Mr. General Evaluator, Art, did I see your hand raised?
I'll go.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Okay.
Okay, Art. Protesters seem to be the up-and-coming rage. If you had a strong burden for change, what would you be, a ringleader, or would you be a trusted follower? And can you explain your role for an unexpected change?
Please ask that question again.
Okay, so protesters are the rage today, right? We see it on the news, protesters. All right, if you have a strong burden in your heart, if you want to be a protester today, would you be the ringleader, or would you be one of the trusted followers? And what change would you want to come? Because you never know what change is going to happen. Something unexpected always comes out of these riots.
Thank you for that question. I have never been interested in protesting that involves marching on the streets, waving flags, yelling at police officers, putting myself and/or other people in harm's way. I believe that most protesters are driven by ideas that they see are not being accepted by the group they're protesting against. We've had a recent spate of peaceful protests against arbitrary racism as an example of protests that are driven by ideas. I prefer to perfect my ability to speak persuasively, which is why I'm a member of Toastmasters, because I have very strong opinions about what's right and what works socially, about the principles on which governance should be founded. And my strong ideas are right now being trampled mostly by the authorities. So I prefer to speak to groups that are open to listening to ideas, whether they agree with them or not, and evaluating the strength of my presentation of the ideas, and perhaps being persuaded. I prefer that to going out and yelling and screaming at people. I think it, in the long run, makes for better change. But thanks for the opportunity to say this. Back to you, Bob.
Thank you, Art. Someone else? Or would you like me to call on you? 1, 2, 3. Aaron.
Oh, I was about to raise my hand anyway.
All right.
Can someone time for me?
All right, Aaron.
Uh-oh, someone time for Aaron. Okay, I'll
All
time.
right, ready. Pop quiz, Aaron.
Uh-oh.
Your neighbor's house, it just burned down. I'm going to give you 3 questions. 1, you give him $1,000 out of your bank account. 2, you let him stay in your spare bedroom. Or 3, do you point them to the nearest local organization that helps victims in need? Or you might take the stance of none of the above.
Thank you for the question. Fellow Toastmasters, guests, and viewers at home. This question hit pretty home to me because of the derecho that Iowa has been bombarded with over the last few months. So thankfully, Fairfield was spared from its effects for the most part, but I'm sure we all know many people who were impacted by it in many ways. And I'm sure this question has been asked of them directly in their conscience. If I was in this situation, I think I would choose the second option that Bob gave, which was to offer up my home to this person if their house had burned down. To me, I feel that this is an act of kindness that would be the most well received. And I think it'd be a great opportunity, especially if I don't know this neighbor as well. It might be a great opportunity for us to get to know each other better and develop a more long-lasting friendship. Because having in times of crisis such as this, when people come together to help solve problems and be kind to one another, amazing things can happen and lifelong bonds can form. And I feel that something like that would be, in my opinion, the most beneficial, instead of just giving them a monetary handout or providing them with a crisis organization that they can reach out. I feel a much more personal and more meaningful approach would be to provide my home and my food and shelter and clothing to them so that until they can get back on their feet and get adjusted back into society again. That would definitely be, in my opinion, the most meaningful approach to take. Excellent question. Thank you.
Aaron? Who would like to be next? Jyoti?
Me? Okay, I'll go.
Okay. This one's a little simpler. Have you ever had a near-death experience from the unexpected event? What was it?
Fellow Toastmasters, guests, and viewers at home, did I have a near-death experience, and what was that? A couple of times I have. I was a swimmer when I was in Nepal, and I love to swim in those stream of water which is flowing down from mountain, and it's very dangerous. There are so many stories where so many times I won't say stories, that's a real thing. Many times I skipped death. Actually, I would have died, but somehow I didn't have to, so I'm still here. The one instance I remember, I died. There was a sign where it says it's dangerous, don't dive, don't swim. But we, at the 14 years of age, we used to swim on those areas where it was listed like don't dive, don't swim. We dived into it, and one of my friends came out. I knew after that, but I went in. And I went deep in, and I just wanted to get back, but I hit the head. There was a big rock on the top. I was down the rock, bottom. I saw here and there, it's a pitch dark. I couldn't get out. It's 30 seconds. I started swallowing water. My stomach was full. My ear was like started. I didn't know what to do. But all of a sudden, I saw a small light, a ray of light coming from one side. And I thought there should be an escape. I don't know how I thought, but I swam that way. And fortunately, there was a crack. It's like about a deep crack, which was a feet or two from where I could escape. It was almost 10 seconds. If I was there, and I'd have died. And I was like unconscious for about 30 minutes after I came out. And that was almost, I thought I'd die. But again and again, we did the same thing, but I survived, and now I am here. Thank you very much.
Very good, Jyoti. Aaron, do we have enough time? Who's doing the timer this evening? What's our?
Me.
We're close to time.
Rahul, you wanna go?
Rahul.
Rahul.
We should do a Rahul.
Yes.
Let's see.
Yeah, we
I-
have, let's see, we have about, what, time for one more?
Yeah.
One more, I'd say.
One more, yeah, one more for sure. Okay.
Okay. Who would like to?
Rahul.
Rahul.
All right.
I will go. I'll go.
Yeah.
Who?
Somebody needs to evaluate me.
I'm gonna, I'll evaluate you.
Go evaluate.
Okay.
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 All right. What? No, excuse me. Who made the most memorable impression in your life when an unexpected trial hit your life?
Thank you, Mr. Table Topics Master, Mr. Bob Fogel. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and viewers at home. My name is Rahul Wurtz, and this is a very interesting question. Times of trials. I mean, life is constant trial, I would say. I've gone through many trials, tribulations, phases of life which were dark, and there have been a lot of people who have helped me in those times. One particular situation was right when I left Fairfield and went to Corona, California. And I was working for a company called Club Speed. At that time, I had just recently moved my brother, my cousin brother, but we live in a joint family. So my cousin brother died in a car accident on the day of Diwali, which is the biggest festival for us. Many of you might know it as the Festival of Lights. So I had to make a decision because I had to go back to my family to be there with them at that time of need and urgency and grief. But my company decided that they would not let me go because I had not been in with the company for a long time. Long story short, it was a difficult, dark time, and I was in a Toastmaster group in California, and I shared the situation that I was in as to how either I would have to lose job or I can go and be with my family, and what would I do, and telling them in a Toastmaster speech that I decided that I'm going to be with my family and leave the job. One friend from Toastmasters, his name is Gary Torres. He was the owner of a company called Food for Life, helped me by offering a job and allowing me to go back to India, visit my family, be with them at the time of the need, and come back. So one person who made a big impact on my life, Gary Torres, was a Toastmaster, and a time which I remember with great respect for Gary Torres, because I wish I could do that to somebody else who would be in such time of trial and tribulation. With that, thank you, Mr. Table Topics Master, Mr. Bob Fogel.
Thank you all. Do we have time for another, or is we moving on?
I think we're done.
Done?
Yeah.
Okay.
According to the agenda, at 8:37, a minute from now, we start evaluation. And we need to allow time for.
So we pass it off to Rahul, who'll do the evaluation, and then Jean next? Is that
Yeah,
correct?
Well,
Yeah.
we have to vote for best table topics, right?
let's get the timer to tell us which
Yes.
table topics speakers qualified.
Thank you, Art.
Mhm.
We had 4 table topics speakers tonight, all of which qualified. They were Art, myself, Jyoti, and Rahul.
Okay.
So please vote. What's Jean? Yeah.
It sounds like you were just getting ready to tell
Oh, yeah.
our
Vote.
guests how to vote.
So we can send the votes to myself as the Toastmaster. For how to do that, if you guys look in the Zoom group chat window it should be on the right side of your screen. Down at the bottom where you type your message, there should be a to drop down, and you can change that to just me. Then you can just send me the
Private message. Okay, well, whoever hasn't voted, feel free to go ahead and move it through.
Yeah, I think we can move on
Yeah.
to the table topics evaluator. Rahul, are you ready to?
Oh yeah, he's ready.
Thank you, Aaron. Thank you, with Mr. Toastmaster, Aaron Russell. So, good evening, friends and fellow Toastmasters. We had a wonderful session. I would like to start my evaluation by commending Bob Fogels for coming prepared with such a wonderful list of questions. The only thing that I would give as a suggestion to Bob is to keep table topics questions short. Some of your questions were long, and it was hard to keep track of them for table topics, a speaker. So if you can keep them short.
Hold on, I apologize. We have some business we need to figure out how much time he gets.
I thought
Okay.
it was like 2 to 3 minutes.
Well, sometimes we give a little more, Rahul, so this
Yep.
could be to your benefit. So how many people did we have?
4.
We have
Four,
four
and
speakers.
I did one. So no, he's definitely a 2 to 3.
Right.
Okay, sorry. We just
Sorry
wanted to
about
make
that.
sure. Yeah.
That's okay. So do I repeat or start again?
No,
or?
no,
Just go. Keep going.
Okay.
Aaron will figure it out.
Okay. Sorry. So Bob, your questions were good. They were on topic. My suggestion to you would be to keep table topics short and generally ask the question twice. One of the practice which happens at the table topics contest in TI, Toastmasters International, is speaker name. So Art Atkinson, question, speaker name. So if you could do that even in our daily club meetings, that'd be great. First speaker was Art Atkinson. The question to him was ringleader or trusted follower. Art, you took moments to think about the topic, thought about it, and then came up with a good beginning, starting and explaining what you would choose to be. I'm not going to go and evaluate your content, but I would tell you what you did good. The fact that you thought about your topic, you were constantly looking at camera. One of the bigger challenges that Toastmaster clubs these days are facing with these virtual meetings is having people look directly at camera, which I help to remind myself that I need to look at the camera so that people can think I'm making eye contact. Which was good. Now, suggestions for improvement, you took some long pauses, which looked like you were trying to think while you were speaking. And a lack of vocal variety. I know you are a great, excellent speaker. You have great vocal variety. Maybe add that in your table topics. You did answer the question again, which was good, and you had a flavor of humor. I found it. I found myself chuckling a little bit at your content, so that was good. Aaron Russell, your question was, how will you help a neighbor whose house just burned down? Again, you greeted the audience. I'm sorry, I missed on Art whether he greeted the audience or not. You thought about the question again. You thought, and then you dived into the question. My point of feedback for you would be eye contact. You were looking here and there, so try to look. That's the feedback for me. Look at the camera so that people can, find you coming, relatable and get more involved. You were tilting your head like this, and that is like, for me, in an interview setting and in a virtual, meeting setting, it's kind of distracting. And again, my use of language is bad, but I hope you get the point. You did acknowledge the table topics master at the end. You had great organization. You wrapped up. You did a speech in 3 minutes. So good job on that. Jyoti, your question was near-death experience. Again, the positive. You greeted the audience. You had a great captivating content and story. I was so engulfed into listening to what you had to say that I missed out on writing a few notes, but I have a few points for you. And one of the things that you said in your content was, I was a swimmer. Grammatically, little bit incorrect. You could have said, I used to swim, because how could you be in the past a swimmer and no longer a swimmer anymore? So you're getting what I'm trying to say? Just think about what you're trying to say. Like, did you forget swimming? No, right? So instead of saying I was a swimmer, say I used to swim. And one of the things that was, little odd was you had a pen and you were doing a fast gesture, and that sometimes causes the video to distort. So try not to do that. Not have fast gestures, but have like slow gestures so that people can, that gets transmitted electronically and people can see it. Besides that, and besides the use of your filler words, you had great content, very captivating content, and I loved everything about what you delivered. With that, back to table topic. With that, back to Toastmaster, Mr. Toastmaster, Aaron Russell.
Thank you.
Who's evaluating? Rahul?
Oh, quick. So just a very quick, maybe 30 seconds. All right, here we go. Jean, thank you, Mr. Table Topics Master, fellow Toastmasters, general evaluator. Rahul had the question about the memorable person, who was a memorable person when he had an unexpected trial that he encountered. Great story. He started out with a general statement, something along the line of life is full of unexpected things. And so, it's a good thing to get used to that. He gave us a great story about his personal story about where he was and how he moved. And also, but then he had this tragedy, family tragedy, and how he dealt with that. And his friend that came forward and really helped him out. So that was the memorable person. So he really connected his content with the question. His conclusion, he hopes to be in a position in the future to be able to help someone with their own trial. It was something like that. Great ending. I mean, it was really like paying it forward. Great ending. I was almost going to say, when he said that I wanted to go back and be with my family, and my company said, we're going to fire you if you do that and all that. But he didn't say where the family was. So it made it sound like the company was really, rough. And it wasn't until way farther in did he say, so I got to go back to see my family in India, which of course put a little different picture on there. But I was waiting to hear, is he going to tell us that the family is on the other side of the world, or, half an hour down the road, or what was the story? And the other thing I would just mention for Rahul would be and this could be just some practice, but a fair amount of filler words. So ums and ahs, and particularly a lot of that. So just, something to be aware of. Thank you. Mm-hmm.
All right.
1 second, I'll consult the agenda.
And now we will talk about which evaluators qualified.
Yes, which evaluators qualified?
Yes. All of our,
Can you tell us?
yes. So we had 2 evaluators tonight, Jyoti and Rahul, and they both qualified.
Okay.
So now we can vote between the 2 of them on who our best evaluator was for tonight. So please send those votes again to me. Yeah, in the interest of time, I'd like to pass it on to our general evaluator, Art Atkinson, to close out the meeting with the reports.
Right, so I'll ask you to please, as timer, give us the timer's report.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. General Evaluator. Jean, for her speech, was 10 minutes, 11 seconds. Jyoti, for his evaluation, 3 minutes, 7 seconds. For table topics, Art was 2:11, I was 2:03, Jyoti was 2:10, Rahul was 2:28. For table topics evaluator, Rahul was 3:24, and Jean was 1:42. And that's my report.
Okay.
Thank you. Now, if our grammarian Jean would please give us the grammarian's report.
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator. Of course, what is really anathema for me is when I put out a word, a great word, and nobody uses it.
Oh,
So I am using anathema right now because I just don't like to head out from this meeting with an anathema hanging out there for me. Nobody used the word, except I got it in there at the last second. But I guarantee you, you will start to hear that and you'll be able to use it in the upcoming week, and you'll be so glad that you had it. In terms of creative usages of the language, I don't really have anything to add. Nothing really particularly stood out, although I'm sure there was. I just didn't catch it, but I didn't hear anything that needed improvement either. So, and that's usually something that comes, ding. So that's good. That's my report.
Thank you. And now if Jyoti Rajadhikari would give us the yacht counters report.
Okay, thank you, Art. Here is my report. Jean, 2 repeats, 4 hours. Aaron, 2 repeats, 1 hour, 1 and 1 yeah. So you said yeah where it was not needed actually. So that became filler work. And Art, 1 hour and 1 long pause. There was a long pause, 1 long pause. Bob, 1 hour, 1 and. I didn't record my thing. So Rahul, 2 repeats, and there was many ahs and ums that I stopped counting after some time because I didn't have space to add up. So just work on that. Yeah, there are so many, and there are 3 ands and 1 long pause. I think that's my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Jyoti Raj. And now for my report from the Joke Master. There is a category of American humor called church bulletin bloopers.
Yeah.
And these are all things that were printed in church bulletins or announced in services. Number 1, the fasting and prayer conference will include meals.
Fasting.
In the bulletin, the sermon this morning titled Jesus Walks on the Water. The sermon titled tonight, Searching for Jesus. In the church bulletin, the low self-esteem support group will meet Thursday at 7. Please use the back door. Also in the bulletin, Weight Watchers will meet at 7 p.m. on Friday. Please use the large double door at the side entrance. In the bulletin, ladies, do not forget the upcoming rummage sale. It's a chance to get rid of those things that are not worth keeping around the house. Bring your husband. Now for my comments as general evaluator.
Those are good. Those are good. We gotta clap for those. Those are fun.
I agree. Church bulletin bloopers are a sacred category of humor. I'm struck by one thing in Rahul's evaluation. We trained a master evaluator, I can tell. You did something that we have got to start incorporating into our own evaluations of the table topics masters questions. You evaluated the suitability of Bob's complex questions for the table topics exercise. and that is a very valuable contribution, which we've missed for some time.
That's good.
Jyoti Raj focused on Jean's delivery of this very complex, detailed thing in which she aced the requirements to demonstrate that she knows how to research and compile information. He focused primarily on her delivery method, her delivery skills, excuse me, and on the organization that she demonstrated in this speech. If there's anything that I would recommend to Jyoti for evaluating a speech like this one, it would be to focus a little more on the quality of the content and whether it met the objectives that were laid out for the pathways exercise rather than just delivery. That's my general evaluator's report. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster Aaron Russell.
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator. Now we come to the awards section of tonight's meeting. First, we have the award for Best Speaker, which was Jean.
Yay.
Yay.
Looks like she had a premonition.
Yeah.
Yay.
Now, Best Table Topic Speaker. It was a close one tonight. Jyoti.
That was a gripping story, Jyoti. Nail biter.
And finally, for Best Evaluator, Rahul.
Oh, yeah.
All right. And now I will take on my role as president to close out the meeting. We had another excellent meeting tonight, so thank you to all who attended, and thank you to our guests as well. Rahul and Todd, would you guys be able to briefly reflect on tonight's meeting and stuff that you noticed, or just a comment you'd like to make?
It has been a long time since I've been to a Golden Speakers meeting.
And go ahead.
And was it a good experience, Todd?
Of course it was.
Okay, well, that's what we want to hear.
Excellent. Well, we appreciate you coming out, Todd. Rahul?
And thank you. My experience had been the same. It is. I'm still having all this nostalgic feeling of being in Toastmasters meeting with Golden Speaker, meeting at the church, at B Street, across from the courthouse. A great place, great people. I miss you, Art, Jean, Jyoti. I've missed you guys. I've really missed you. I mean, Golden Speaker. I've been to so many Toastmasters Club. I've lived in California, Texas, Philadelphia, New York, but there was no club better than Golden Speakers that I've been part of. And
Wow.
and have said that at many places. The people, the camaraderie, the relationship, the trust that we have in that I have in this particular club is way up, and I miss you guys. I'm glad that I can join you again because of, even though some unfortunate circumstances for the world, but I'm hoping that I can keep this trend alive and we can meet more often in future. So I'm looking forward to being a regular member. And one thing I would wish that there would be more people, and I'd like to help out if there is a way by bringing in some people that I know are members of Golden Speaker and live close to me.
All right.
Yeah, that would be great.
Excellent.
And I think I remember Todd for some reason. I'm just not being able to put a face to the name. right now.
Oh, he was a member when we were there. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, Todd.
Who?
Yeah, Todd.
Todd, yes.
Yeah.
I think
He
I
was in the
competed.
church. He
Yeah,
was
I
at
think
the church.
I think I competed against him once, and I came
Yes.
first.
All right. Well, we encourage you guys after the meeting to stick around and catch up with us and keep the conversation going. Yeah, I've just got one announcement that I have is, as I've mentioned before, the District 19 Huddle, which will be both virtual and in person. That's October 24th. So that is not this coming weekend, but the weekend after, for those who would like to attend. Looks like they'll have some pretty good webinars and meetings and some social time with other Toastmasters in the district. Yes, Jean.
So just to mention, the cost is $10 for the ticket, $1.94 for the whatever processing fee. So let's just basically say $12 for from the comfort of your own home. They are having it in person as well, but if you want to just be there and participate and get the sessions and all, it's a pretty good deal. So and it's on the district19.me website under events if you want to take a look at that. And it'll be a lot of honoring of people, clubs and accomplishments from the year that just ended June 30th. And there will be streaming that whole celebration at the luncheon for those of us that are not there physically. So just something to take a look at.
Right. Thanks, Jean.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, just keep up with the speeches. I think I've seen a very noticeable improvement in the amount of speeches that we've been having recently. So I appreciate all you guys with your effort and crafting speeches. So I think we're off to a great start. Does anyone have any other business before we conclude?
Well, I wanted to offer a reflection on what Rahul just shared with us.
Can we close the meeting though, Art, so we can be done?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
So people, if they need to leave, they can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, I'm usually in that boat. But I'm
It's 9
inspired
o'clock.
I'm
Yeah,
inspired by what you said, Rahul, in
Okay.
particular because this club has seeded the whole of North America with people who go on like yourself to become powerful speakers in DTM. We have just recently lost 2 brilliant young people who followed in your footsteps as computer science graduates from the master's program. I think they were both from Jordan, and they both headed off to other parts of the world. And we've only recently realized that because of this virtual format, we can reel in all of these great club members and rebuild a large flourishing club with members scattered all over North America.
Thank you, Art. I feel Golden Speaker has been a very special club, special place. It has a very special place in my heart, and I think with the setup that we have now, we can still make the difference in many more people's life, as you guys have done in my life.
All right. Thank you all. I think at this time I'd like to adjourn the meeting, but we can stick around afterwards to continue the conversation. So thank you all, and we will see you next week.